Welcome everybody. Just trying out a new setup here. It's kind of a mess. You guys can't see everything that's going on here, but hopefully you can hear me and listen to the music at the same time. Give me a thumbs up, let me know. You guys will kind of be my little guinea pigs to try this out on. Cool, so I've got my guitar plugged into my pedal board finally. This is something that I've been trying to mess around with for a pretty long time, and it seems like it's working. It seems like the levels are okay. I would love some feedback because I don't know what's being heard. I don't know if you guys can hear everything. But I got a microphone right here. I've also got the guitar plugged into everything, all my effects, my reverb, my delay, my loop pedal as well. So basically what you're hearing is you're hearing my voice. Hopefully it's loud enough in comparison to the guitar. So you're probably hearing a bit of the noise floor as well. I do have some traffic noise outside, but I try to minimize that with a little bit of just turning the gain down overall. But let me know if it's too quiet. I'd love to hear if maybe you guys want it louder. But this is something I'll probably just do a test. I'll probably just go back to everything and make sure everything's good. But I have this new feature. I'm trying out this new program called Ecamm Live, where I can basically take one of your comments like this, and I can make it appear right there. So thank you, Alan Wolf, for telling me it sounds fantastic, and it just disappears after 15 seconds. So it's kind of cool. I can just have these comments whenever you guys have comments, or if you have any questions, I would put it up on the screen like that. Just makes it a little bit more of a TV show, I guess. Yeah, you're probably hearing the, my guess is you're hearing, probably there's some reverb on this, but let me turn the reverb completely off. The echo might be from, are you sure it's not from the guitar? Because you should be hearing some sort of delay, kind of ping pong delay. But I think this setup sounds much cleaner than my old setup. Plus I've got my DSLR camera here, so I think it looks much better. I hope. Maybe, I don't know if it's in focus. Let me see. This is the other thing. It's like trying to make sure everything's in focus. Ready to go. Yeah, this has kind of been my go-to sort of preset on my Strymon pedals. It's like it's got delay, it's got shimmer, it's got everything. It's really nice because my pedal board is about 2 feet away, so I have to. You can't see my left foot right now, but it's fully extended, trying to navigate this system here. So it's really cool because I can sustain notes like this. So you see, I'm hands off, and then I can kind of do a solo. To kind of get that Pink Floyd-ish feel. Really cool. So that's kind of, I've been tweaking with that. So I got all my toys here, and so what you heard there before was just really a improvised jam that I did over a loop that I have. I've got like 99 loops preloaded, ready to go. So here's a question. I can just bring these up, so that's very cool. Another question, can you please give me a little bit of idea about how to mix the guitar and properly tweak it on a DAW? Yeah, I'm actually I just made a video about that actually. I've got a 2-part video series coming out on how to mix the guitar. properly, and I can't wait to share that. But that's going to be out on my Patreon page, right there. It's going to come out there first, so those guys will have first dibs on every single lesson that I do going forward. So I do have that lesson already prepared. I'm just waiting for the right time to post that. Probably be in another few weeks or so. I just posted a new lesson there, so I'm just waiting for them all to, everyone over there anyway, to kind of absorb all that knowledge first. Now I guess you are hearing a little bit of this as well with the guitar. I do have to wear headphones because I'm just hearing, yeah, there's just some little bit of tweaking I have to do with this system, but you know what, it's good enough, I think. It's much better than my previous setup, which was not using any of this. This is really good because now I can actually do loop stuff. I don't have to play all my solo stuff. I'm noticing the strings are like kind of doing this anti-aliasing weird thing. It might be my focus. My focus might be too sharp. I believe with this, I'm also able to kind of stream into multiple platforms, I believe. Bear with me, guys. This is just a test. I appreciate you guys tuning in if you are here. I also have this feature to be able to do a countdown like this, you know, in case I ask a question or something and there's a timer, you know, when that will be useful. But yeah, it's pretty fun though. It's a lot of stuff for you to navigate. I also have this little thing. If there's ever a super chat coming in, I can do this. Yeah. Yeah, that's very important. But I'm not sure if you guys said if the volume was loud enough. I do typically tend to project my volume a little bit more when I'm doing these lives, because it's like a performance, you know. But what can I do? I wonder if I can drag everything. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna drag some stuff over here. Okay, if I can remember how to use this. So I've got 2 loop pedals. It's a shame you guys can't see what I'm doing down here. In the future, I might have another setup so you guys can see the footwork that's going on here, all the tap dancing. But I really love this washed out, reverby, lush, big sound. But what is the record button? I think it's this one. So there you go, I got a little loop going on. Let's see if it sounds good. Here's a question. What was the stapler looking thing? Well, that was a stapler that I attached some hi-fi technology to. No, this is actually an EBO. So the EBO creates an electromagnetic field around the string like this, and it basically makes it vibrate like crazy. Really cool. I use this quite a bit. I use this if I'm like trying to layer, like right now I've got a loop going, right? So now I can even have that as a loop. I'll add that as a loop in a second, just so you guys can see how interesting it is to kind of have this going. But now, part of Toward Dusk. Kind of jazzy. Now, I don't remember exactly what I did in the original loop. Let me see if I can figure it out real quick. So there you go. I got the ebow in there. Subtle. You know, I could even throw in this guy if I really wanted to. But let's not go too country on. I don't want to go too country on you guys here today. So it's called an ebow. Ebow is the name of that blue little beautiful little thing. This is something I could just like jam over for hours and hours, so hope that's okay. Really nice. And the chords that I'm using here, what am I using? I'm using like F sharp major 7 to the B to G, A sharp 7 sharp 5 altered chord. Really good for the altered scale, also good for what am I doing? Melodic minor. So that I think that sounded pretty cool on here, the headphones. Hopefully it's sounding okay for you guys. This is definitely an experience that I think sounds best with headphones if you are using headphones, just because of the reverb and the delay have a really nice stereo imaging. So I'd really encourage you to look at that. Yes. Okay, let me just see. I think I might have missed a couple of questions. If you have any questions, now is, I guess, a good time to let me know. So here's a question. Can you please show us some beautiful chords? And also, its different chord shapes. So I actually talked about this. This is something that I kind of talked about a little bit in the last lesson, which was the 7th inversions. So if you did check that out, it's on my YouTube page, so you can check that out. That one I talked about inversions of the 7th chords, which are really useful, which you could use to kind of have this ambient atmospheric sound. Obviously, when you're playing this sort of ambient sound, you know, you want obviously a washed out kind of ambient reverb, lush everything really, because that's where you're going to get a lot of the space. Obviously, with playing this style of music of like ambient guitar, even though I'm not really an ambient guitarist, but I do like to dabble in that world. One thing with that I would say is space. Space is your friend. Space is your best friend. So cool, because like as you can hear when I play one chord, you can hear the tail for a good 2 or 3, sometimes even 5 seconds, right? Especially when I start doing the sustain. If I start doing a sustain, like right now is a perfect time to just focus on individual notes. Right? It can be as simple as that. Like that already can be the beginning of a song, you know, if you're Pink Floyd. And then, so here's a good question. Thank you for the question here. Do you hear the next chords in your head? Or how a musician improvises, how a musician knows which notes to merge? Yeah, so a bit of theory goes a long way here. I know that if I'm playing this E chord here, one way to approach this, if I'm thinking about the key of E, as long as I know kind of the chords, the 7 notes of the scale, I'm able to kind of figure out the different chords around it. So definitely learn your chords inside of each key, because that really is the key to unlocking, pun intended, how to play with the next chord. So if I'm playing E, I know that maybe if I play the 4th interval, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, A, will always work. It's always a major chord. The 5th interval, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, also always a major chord. So I can even just use these 3 chords. To be honest, you know what? I'm gonna show you how to make a song with just those 3 chords. If I just play this sort of thing, like so that's E, A, back to the E, then to the B, which is the 5th interval, focusing on the melodic notes, A, back to E, B, sounds like a Hawaiian love song now. So I'm picking notes, again, all in the key of E major, right? So I'm not really drifting away from E here. Focusing on the triad notes, the 1st note, the 3rd note, and the 5th note. Those are very important intervals of the scale. And it starts to sound really nice. good place to start, even if you don't know the full scale. Play the pentatonic in the key of E, C sharp. We've got the capo on, so it'd be two notes higher. But the pentatonic scale, I'll just play the pentatonic scale over this, and I'll show you how that works. Except for the B, you might want to change something else. Anyway, you could just go on and on and on with this sort of loop. It's still a lot of fun to do. Don't get me wrong, I sometimes even do stuff like this. I'll play a loop over something as simple as that, and I'll just spend minutes, if not hours, playing over that if I'm trying to come up with a song. So hopefully that answers the question a little bit, and kind of maybe I went a little bit too much into detail as I normally do when I'm answering these questions. I just want to give you guys information. So, let's see. Okay, here's a question from Craig. I'm curious to know how you have everything interfaced, and how do you like Ecamm? I'm considering for my own live streams too. Yeah, I've done a bit of research to see what works and what doesn't. I've kind of messed around with Ecamm. I just signed up for the free trial. That's why you see that. That's why you see that logo right there. So I haven't actually purchased it yet because I'm not 100% sure on it. But so far, pretty good. I like that you have that feature to do these comments inside. I think that's really cool that you can just have that kind of pop up. You can also do these things like, you know, if I'm like starting out the live stream and I'm not quite ready yet, or I have some technical difficulties, I'll put this up, you know, so I'll bam, and then I'm back. So it's kind of nice. It does make it really seamless, and it does make it more like a TV show, to be honest. But as far as the interface and everything, how I have it set up, I'm just using my RME UFX, the Fireface. That's going directly. I got all my pedals, everything plugged into that. And then that's it. That's pretty much it. Everything I'm doing inside of the DAW, which is pretty cool. So yeah, hope that answers that question. Here's a question from Mary. Are you picking nails acrylic? They are. They definitely are. Okay, I'm gonna bring you close up. It's blurry, but because there's no autofocus, the focus is about here. But here, as you can see, I am using acrylic gel nails, and I will be releasing a video on how to do these at home, since a lot of us aren't able to get our nails done right now. I figured it'd be a good time for me to do a video on this. So a video is coming, but that's going to be on Patreon first. So if you are interested, it's going to be on Patreon. That page, I don't think the link is in the description below, but you know, the page site is right there if you're interested in that. Speaking of which, if anyone wants to join patreon.com/ManeliJamal during this live stream, I'm going to give away one free tab to every person who signs up in the apprentice tier or higher. So you get a free tab as a bonus for signing up. So if you are interested in that, basically, if you guys aren't sure what Patreon is, it's a place for me that I have a community of like-minded individuals, a lot of guitar players and fans as well. You don't have to be a guitar player, but I offer some perks like voting in the community polls on what lessons I do next. So all the lessons you've seen come out lately are all because my patrons, the community, has voted specifically on those lessons. So if you are interested in that, check out that link. You'll have exclusive access to a lot of cool content, as well as one free tab. I'll know if you signed up because I'll get a notification. So if you guys are interested in that and signing up with that, you'll get a free tab on the house of any song that you wish. Thought I'd throw it out there. So let's see. Good, I'm glad you guys are liking it. I'm getting some lovely comments. Thank you so much. Okay, here's a good one. Jess Booty, nice name. I think I recall a few years, maybe more ago, you said that you needed a physio on your picking hand due to carpal tunnel. Is that still an issue? great question, and thank you for your concern. Yeah, so it was actually on this arm, and that was years ago. Man, you must have been following for a while. That was, I think, 10 years, if not more. I don't really remember, but it's definitely not an issue anymore. But I do believe I was misdiagnosed because I thought it was carpal tunnel and tendinitis. I thought, to be honest, carpal tunnel is over here, but I actually thought it was tendinitis because I was feeling the pain in my tendons here. And to be honest, it was a little bit inflamed, but it wasn't anything serious. The real issue was right here, the neck. So there's some nerves that come down here and go all the way down your arm into your fingers. Sometimes when you have that numbing feeling in the fingers, that oftentimes is because of a pinched nerve. And for me, it was particularly the pec minor. You know, the pec is a very large muscle group here on your chest. And so here is the pec minor, where it was just so tight as well, plus the impingement of my posture. I used to play standing up a lot, so I was always doing this. My strap was on this shoulder, so it was compressed, and then the right shoulder was coming up like this. So you can see this is not normal, right? It should be like that. This is the straight back. This is how to play guitar properly, and I'll actually definitely be making a video specifically on this topic, on posture related stuff, as well as like how to exercises to do. And I've been doing those exercises kind of religiously for a while, but just to give you some things that have helped me is to do yoga. Yoga has been a lifesaver. I've been practice 4 to 5 times a week. Outside of that, a pull-up bar is very important. To do the pull-ups, to build the lats, the back strength, that's key, because posture-related stuff, oftentimes when we're on a computer, you know what starts to happen is this starts to happen, and you start to turn into gremlin. So the most important thing is to do the opposite and reverse, and you know, have proper posture and things like that. So one thing, again, great thing is that the pull-ups, anything that involves the lats, the serratus anterior, which is over here if you're doing push-ups, are really great, and then extending even further out at the end to really target the serratus anterior. Again, really good exercises that I can recommend that have really helped me, and I've never had issues. I haven't had any issues since then, to be honest. Because the thing is, like, for me, it's like once I injure myself, or I know that I'm doing something the wrong way, I will fix it right away. I will go in 100 miles an hour trying to really maximize all the potential outcomes. So yeah, so hopefully that answers that, but I will be making an actual video on that in the future. There's another question. Thank you. Here's another one. Your music is wonderful. I discovered you on Instagram. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining me on here. Hopefully you're enjoying this live stream and me responding to you. How cool is that? So here's another question. When you write music, do you follow staff notation? Are you fond of sheet music? When I started playing guitar, I was not playing staff notation. I was following tabs, as every guitar player tends to do. But then I got a job as a teacher, as a music teacher, and then I was kind of freaking out because that was my first time teaching guitar. And to be honest, I was a little bit worried, because I was thinking to myself, oh man, this is going to be tough, because what if I have a student come to me who wants to learn standard notation? So I kid you not, for 2 weeks before my first ever guitar student, many years ago, I forced myself to read standard notation and learn how to read standard notation. So I dived into the Mel Bay books. You probably know those books. I kind of went through 5 of those books, forced myself to go through it just in case I had my student come to me and be like, how do you play, you know, Bach's Prelude in E or something, whatever. Thankfully, that didn't happen. So I over-prepared to the max. And what happened is my student came to me and asked me how to play an A minor chord. And I said to myself, this is all we're doing for this lesson? So it was very interesting, because I didn't realize I had over-prepared like crazy. So now I can read standard notation, but it's not something I do actively. So it's a muscle. Reading standard notation is a muscle, and if you don't train it, you will forget it. But I can read rhythmic notation very well as you know, tabs and stuff like that. And I've got an okay ear. I can pick things up as well. So that's typically what I do. I kind of base it more by my feeling. Like if I'm ever writing my own stuff, I always write it on the guitar first, never on sheet music or tabs. I never do that first. This is always number 1. And then I will go to the Guitar Pro and tab everything out. And again, so if you are joining us here just now, I am offering 1 free tab for any person who joins my Patreon page right there, patreon.com/Maneli Jamal. If you are interested, you get 1 free tab on the house, and that's in tabs and standard notation. If there's any piano players or any other players who are interested in grabbing that. So yeah, so standard notation is cool. A lot of guitar players don't know how to read that, though, I know, but that's okay. It's not that important. All right. Keon, thank you. I've always wondered, Maneli, why do you curl your strings at the top strings instead of clipping them? I do recall you made some epic art with the strings once in a treble clef shape. Yeah, I've actually also made a heart shape with them as well for Valentine's Day. So, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. This doesn't really affect the sound. It's like my curly hair, all right? This is a reflection. The guitar is a reflection of who I am. And my hair right now is a little bit crazy, and because of the pandemic, I haven't really had a lot of time or been able to really get a haircut. So, to be honest, I'm liking the hair. I'm liking the curls. It's coming out nicely. Same thing as this, right? So this is no difference. It's just maybe it's the easy way out. But I know that on some guitars, if I'm doing recording sessions, I will clip it just in case they, make a sound like that. But yeah. Okay, let me play a song, and then while I play the song, feel free to ask any other questions, and I will do my best to answer accordingly. I'm going to play a piece called Synchrodestiny, since I'm in this tuning. All right, that was Synchrodestiny. I'm so glad I got this computer stuff, everything set up here finally to get some high quality sounds coming your way. So, got some good questions here. Here's one. Maneli, where do you sell CDs of your music? I actually sell them at manelijamal.com. So my name, full name.com. Those are actually the physical CDs if you're looking. That's the only place to get them. It's under the music section. Otherwise, the only other place that you could get like my downloads as well is from manelijamal.com. Another place you could go is iTunes, Spotify, pretty much any platform if you want the digital version. But I do sign all the CDs coming from my website. So if you're interested in that, you can check out manelijamal.com. So let's see other comments here. Just bear with me as I scroll through these. There's a few here to go through, so let's see. Hey dude, love your music, thanks. Any insight on how you approach practicing, studying music? So many ways of doing this. One way is just to learn songs. That's a very easy way. Learn songs that you really genuinely love to listen to. That is a great way to start, I would say. But as far as the way that I approach it, a lot of the way that I practice, a lot of the times is I would just do a loop pedal. You know, I would just do that loop, for example. And then from there, I could kind of work on an idea from there. So that is definitely like hands down, one of the quickest way to get results when you're looking to study music or analyze what you're doing, because you will play things in different positions. You will almost be forced to, especially when the progression is as simple as a 4-chord progression. But I really like 4-chord progressions for that reason. It really allows you to have a lot of freedom when you're soloing and stuff like that. But as far as my approach, I mean, oftentimes I'll pick up the guitar and I might just go through something I'm familiar with. To be honest, it's different every day. It just depends on what I'm working on at the time. Like right now I'm working on some like gypsy jazz. Those sort of runs, pardon the crazy reverb and delay, it's still from the previous song. But that's kind of the stuff that I work through. I kind of go through that process. I'll kind of just improvise a little bit. That's a really fun way to do it. Improvise, and then ideas will usually come from that improvisation. Another thing that you could do is just picking patterns. And more times than not, that can inspire other notes to come there. Not the best sounding progression, but this is like my approach. I would just experiment one note at a time, moving one note at a time. All right, I'm just moving one note at a time, and then eventually something will uncover itself, typically. So let's see here. Do you record your composing sessions for references or remember it all in your head? That's a really great question, and it's all right here in my phone. Almost everything I do, if I'm in the middle of playing a song or writing a song, I always record everything because I will oftentimes forget ideas. So often I'm notorious for just really not remembering a lot of stuff, probably because of all the cannabis I've smoked in my ears, but but other than that, I mean, that's usually my point of reference. Is I go to my phone, I always record everything, and I always just make sure that what I have recorded, that I go back and I revisit. I have so much stuff on my phone that I haven't touched that I think is pretty good material to work on, but it's just I haven't had the right time right now to kind of go through that. But I might play a new song, a new idea that I'm working on for you guys a little bit later. But let's see. Sure, let's see. Cool. Thank you so much for this one. On headphones is delicious. Great. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. So if you are just joining us, put headphones on. I think the experience of the reverb is a three-dimensional full immersion. So really cool when you do have headphones on, especially when you've got a good pair of headphones. These are the Audio Technica M50, I believe, MX50 or something like that. But yeah. Yeah, so Doug, good to see you. Sounds fantastic. Thank you. Doug is one of my longtime students and a great player. It's really cool to have seen so much progress. Happy to have you here. So, and Doug has another question. I'm going to answer him because he's a student of mine. So, do you have any type of warm-up routine to get your fingers ready? Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that I recommend that's coming out in my masterclass, which is this kind of spider technique. That's one, but again, this isn't really the most musical thing. This is not very musical at all, to be honest. It's just kind of getting the fingers warmed up. So that's one approach. The other thing that I've really enjoyed doing lately is playing scales, but playing them with sequential sort of runs. And I guess what I mean by that is if you're playing just a regular, like a A major scale, I might want to play it in sequences of 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, then go to the second interval. These sorts of runs are really fun. Really fun to do, and it also is really good for coordination with picking hand. So I've been kind of really enjoying using the pick. I'm really going back to my roots, I feel like, the last little bit, by using this picking technique. Another thing that you could do that I've really kind of been enjoying to do is just play spread triads, which are basically normal triads with the second interval an octave higher. So if you're playing, this is the 1, the minor 3 gets an octave higher, and then we play the 5, creating these sorts of voicings. Someone who's really well known for using these is the great Eric Johnson. And I actually am kind of really getting back into these spread triads because it's one of those things you kind of forget about. You've done it so long ago that you don't realize the importance of them anymore. But that's something that I've really been working on. I actually wrote a song with this sort of thing, an idea anyway. So there you go. You got a little bit of a teaser of a new song that's coming out at some point. I just this is what I've been working on the last week or so. Really focusing on spread triads. This is kind of like, and you can kind of hear it's kind of has this almost like poppy feel, right? Especially if I were to play it with like this sort of poppy rhythm. You know, especially when you play with that sort of feel, it definitely sounds a little bit more on the poppy side. But whatever, you know, it's one of those things. I'm not really thinking like, how do I avoid a poppy sound? That's not really what I'm going for. I'm kind of going more with how can I make something that I enjoy to play. And usually exercises like that, the whole spread triad, will turn into an actual song. More times than not, etudes, almost, for me anyway, they always just somehow turn into songs. And that's great. It's like I'm hitting two birds with one stone there, I guess. So, I'm curious, why a Thumppick and not an acrylic nail? Yeah, so the reason being is because I typically tend to use the Thumppick simply for my picking stuff. So if I'm, you know, going back to that kind of loop that I did earlier, I'm able to now use this to pluck. I wouldn't be able to do that if I had a nail on the thumb. I wouldn't be able to do those fast runs with just the thumb. I mean, you could, but the tone wouldn't be the same. So the pick really allows you to kind of, for me anyway, allows me to have a lot more freedom, you know. Yeah. A lot of fun though. I really like this Thumppick. I've been using a Thumppick for years, to be honest. So it's just kind of my go-to. You know, it's one of those things I've made it an extension of myself now. So it's not something that I would kind of go without. But to be honest, that song that I did just play there, I did write it with the flesh. So if you want to hear, see the bass has a little bit more of a bassier sound all of a sudden because of that. Right, so it does give it a little bit more warmth if that's what you're going for, which I am not with this piece anyway. But yeah, I mean, they both work. To be honest, I don't know what the final version is going to be, but it'll be the same notes, different timbre. So here's a question from Ryan. Do you like doing percussion on the body of the guitar? I do, and well, I mean, I used to a lot. I used to do a whole bunch of hopefully that's not clipping. I feel like it might be clipping there, so I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I mean, there's even a piece, you know, mine called Cold Arrival, where I do. So to answer your question, I do a bit of percussion on the guitar as well. That was Cold Arrival. Cold Arrival. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. So another question from Nelly. The USB with music also comes with tour sign when you buy it. So the USB stick comes with the music. One option is with just the music. It comes with the CD artwork as well as all the music, and MP3 and WAV. And then the other version is with tabs, with all of my tabs. So that's, I think, twice as much because, well, my tabs collectively, it's a good deal. It's probably the best deal that I have on my site. But so that's collectively everything. That's all the tabs, all the music as well. So I will also sign it as well. I do sign those if you are interested in that. I do have USB sticks. I don't know if any of you guys do know, but I do have USB sticks available at manelijamal.com as well, if you are interested in that. It has all my music, entire discography at your service. So I'm just gonna see here some questions. So here's a question. Thank you. If there was one thing you could have fixed in an early stage of learning the guitar, what would it be? Thank you for the live stream. My pleasure. Hopefully you guys are getting some value out of this. So what I typically, so to answer that question, as far as what I would have done differently, you know, maybe at the early stages or fix during the learning. I mean, the learning never stops. The learning for me is always there. I never stop the learning. So I'm constantly thinking of the most efficient way to play something, the most efficient way. One of the most important things I would say, I'm going to do a short little lesson here on finger economy and keeping your fingers as close as, I just had a student today where I talked to her about this over Skype, about the importance of finger pressure. I'm going to show you this little tip that I do with a lot of my students is that when you apply pressure to, say, the first fret, okay, here's a good tip. Always start with just nothing, no pressure at all. So apply, you know, make the fingertip just touch the string, but no pressure. Okay, so we're getting no sound. Now from here, what I want you to do is slowly apply pressure until you get a sound. Okay, now we have a very clean sound. Now the whole point of this exercise is to see how much pressure you're actually applying. A lot of people, when I see playing guitar, they're doing this. They're tensing so hard, like they're holding on for dear life, and I have no idea why. It's just a guitar. It's there to help you, to express yourself, not let out your anger. So with this, so keep your index finger there, and again, just try that as close as possible, but not directly on the fret, just to the left of the fret, and apply pressure, and that's the amount of pressure you should be applying. Now, try the same thing exercise again, and move the index finger as far to the left as possible. Now try that same thing again. What you'll notice all of a sudden is the amount of pressure that you have to apply here versus here is like 10 times as much. So, finger economy. Keep our fingers as close as possible to the fret and use just the right amount of pressure. It's that simple. With everything that I do, I try. That's why I feel that I don't fatigue anymore. My hands don't really fatigue very quickly because of this. When you're playing a scale, and some people are wondering, how can your fingers move so quick if you're playing? A lot of the times I'm applying just enough pressure to get the sound. And you have no idea, I'm like barely touching the string to get a sound. I don't need to push very hard at all. Okay, that's one thing. Notice another thing I'm going to show you here, the angle. Okay, this is the face and this is the tip. If you're using the face, you're going to have to apply a different kind of pressure from the hand. Okay, almost more pressure from the face. And that naturally your wrist is going to need to push into it like this. You're going to do this motion of pulling it towards you versus using the tip. The tip is just, because of ergonomically the way that it's shaped, when it's rounded like that, you're applying like almost some pressure into it by just using that, and you're using a lot less muscles, a lot less energy right? So this is the game of finger economy on the left hand. There's also finger economy on the right hand, which I won't really get into, but hopefully that answers your question on finger strength. And like a lot of people are wondering, well, I'm not getting any clean sound. Well, to be honest, oftentimes it is related to that. It's just improper basic foundation of the guitar. It's the most basic stuff, but it's one of those things, it's the most overlooked stuff, because a lot of people, you know, I have this saying where like you might do something, you might do a technique and it sounds good, but you might be doing it incorrectly and it still sounds good, right? But what happens if you were to do that technique perfectly and you get good results? Your energy, you will expend a lot less energy in that sense. Okay, that's how I like to approach not just the guitar, but everything in life. Everything in life is related to this, and so that's why this is a lifestyle. This guitar thing, everything that you learn on this instrument is a lifestyle. It's a reflection of what you're going through in life, and I totally believe that. And maybe this might be a good place to pitch the Patreon page, because I'm trying to build a community of like-minded individuals to a lot of guitar players, and trying to make that a lifestyle and learn and better ourselves through the instrument. So I do, if you are just joining us here, I do have that promotion still available if you do sign up to my Patreon page during this live stream and a little bit on, and then I will give you a free tab as a bonus, a free tab of your choice if you are interested. So here's a question: did you start music on the guitar? I did not, actually. I started with violin. Started with violin. My dad's a great violin player, so do I have a violin here? Somewhere it's over here. But I don't really play violin anymore, but that was my first instrument, my first introduction. But I will say, I grew up in a very musical family. So just because I say I started playing at 9 years old the violin, it doesn't mean that I was around music before that, because I was around music my whole life. I'm the youngest of 4 boys. I got 3 older brothers who all played guitar at some point. So I had the guitar around me, but I didn't really pick it up until I was 16. And to be honest, that was kind of a good thing, because I got to see what each one of my brothers was able to do on the guitar. It was really cool, I think, to see and to do this whole sort of thing of like watching someone do something and then being like, I want to do that. Right, and that's very powerful. That's like when I see someone do something that I want to do, I immerse myself right into it. So that's kind of my approach anyway to that, and it seems to be fun. But then the guitar came at 16 years old, and it was on my friend's couch, and I just started to pick it up, and I was like, man, I am in love. I am with love with that guitar. And it all went downhill from there. By downhill, I mean uphill, of course. Let's see. So there's a question you don't really understand, so let's see if I can go back to that first loop I did here. So you've so far only heard my clean sound. I'm gonna turn the gain pedal on. I have an Ibanez Tube Screamer. If you don't know what that is, look it up because it's fun. Because sometimes you just need a little bit of a distortion. It does, as you can see, there's a bit of gain on it right now, so it can make it sound a little bit more meatier, you know, so. Now it is on an acoustic guitar, so it's going to sound, I think, more beefy, just. I'll show you the difference between that sound and then normal. It's very clean. Then with it on. maybe a little bit too hot, I think. Let me turn it down. So if it's like this. This is sounding okay out there because it sounds okay over here, but hopefully it's being translated okay. So this is part of a loop that I've had for a long time, and I've got my Boss RC30, I believe. Yeah. So it's got 2 pedals. So this is like channel 1, what you're hearing right now. This sort of. Channel 2 is this. It's more subtle. I'll do it without the other one. It's like flashback for me because I did this like years ago. I'm gonna try to remember if I can play that, because now I'm very curious. I think it's this. It's this sort of kind of harmonic, kind of cascading harmonic run there, which is really a lot of fun to play. All right, so we have a new patron here. Thank you so much, Kian. Thank you very much, Kian. I appreciate that. Merci. I'm assuming you're Persian, so. Really appreciate that. I think it'll be a lot of fun over there. I did just start a Discord as well. I haven't really set that up properly just yet, I don't think, but the Discord server, if you guys don't know, it is connected to my Patreon page where basically we can just talk like this, communicate, and show a video and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be really cool. So here's a, yeah, that's a quote, yeah. It all went downhill. Yeah, I don't plan on stopping the guitar. I mean, the guitar, it's such a reflection of who I am today. It's kind of hard to ever let go of this instrument or music in general. You know, there was a time a few months ago where I was questioning whether to do music again, full time anyway. But that was just, you know, we go through little segments in life, I feel, of like doubting ourselves. Maybe that's midlife crisis. Even though I'm not that old, but I did feel like I've gone through several midlife or quarter life crises in life, and I think that's obviously part of everything. Part of life is trying to understand everything, and sometimes you feel that you do have full understanding of something, but then something hits you, and then it's like, whoa, I did not realize I didn't know how to do that. So it's kind of an awakening, you know, when we go through these crises, because it's good to go through those. It really questions what we've done in the past and to better ourselves. So since I am in standard tuning, I might finish off. I've already been here for an hour and 15. I was expecting this to be a 15-minute test, and this test is turning into a full Q&A and concert, which is all good because this is all good. I gotta walk the dogs though. So, so I'm gonna play one last song. You guys have any preferences? Something in standard tuning? If you know my songs in standard. Although I think I might do this one. Now that you know what, I'm gonna, unless someone really wants to hear a song in standard tuning, but I think I'm gonna do this one. Sorry I asked, but I'm gonna do this one called El Cielo en Zihua. I'm gonna do it the way that I do it live. I'm not gonna tell the stories, because I usually tell stories with this. thank you so much, guys. I appreciate every one of you sticking around here. That was El Cielo and Zihua. Hopefully that sounds okay. I'll definitely go back to this live video and make sure any tweaks, any sort of things I can do better. But thank you so much for staying with me here. Again, if you guys want to join me on Patreon, the link is right there. I'll also have a link down below after this video. Thanks so much for the kind love and the beautiful comments from all of you. Really appreciate that. Hope you have a wonderful evening and a great weekend ahead. And other than that, thank you so much and see you next time. Next time I'll definitely have this all set up and ready to go. And we'll do a similar thing, which is just this, us hanging out and having a good time, playing some music, doing some Q&A. And maybe next time I might even do more lessons if you guys want more specific lessons. But let's play that by ear. Okay. Until next time. Peace.